What's up, everybody? Welcome to A.R.S.O.N's Music. Today we're checking out the new album A.R.S.O.N, which is the seventh studio album from the post-hardcore slash pop punk band Story of the Year, but it is only their third album since they came back from their hiatus. The first one being Wolves, which came out in 2017, which was fine, I guess. It has a really strong start to it. It sounds really good. It gets you pumped up, and then it just kind of fizzles out into nothing. It's not a bad album, especially considering it took like a 7-year break from the band. The band members were doing other things, but this band hadn't done anything together for 7 years, and they came out with this, and it felt more like an appropriate album for them to kind of shake the rust off of writing music for Story of the Year. Their album that followed it and their previous album titled Tear Me to Pieces was an absolute banger, though. Their sound changed quite a bit, but it was in a really good, mature kind of way. It has more of a intimate feel with some really good heavy moments to it, not to mention the lyrics hit really hard and they're communicated in a really good way. And don't get me wrong, it's not perfect. I wouldn't really say it's better than any of their pre-hiatus albums, but at the same time, they definitely shook the rust off that Wolves was kind of doing, and they came out with something that was worth listening to, showing that the Story of the Year was still, they were still a band worth paying attention to. And then they released a new single titled Gasoline, All Rage, Still Only Numb, and announced their new album titled A.R.S.O.N, which proved that they could still write some music that sounded really refreshing, and it was on par, to me at least, with their older stuff. It's not super original sounding, but at the same time, for a single, it's really hard to imagine this getting any better, if I'm going to be honest. The riffs are heavy, the vocals are fantastic, the hook is generically catchy. Sure, like I said, it's not original, but it's something that gets stuck in your ear and it's not annoying to listen to, if that makes sense. And not only that, but this works really well as the album opener because it gets you ready for what you could expect from the rest of the songs on this. And following suit, we now have the second song, which is Disconnected, which was also the second single that was released for this album, and they showed that they were going to keep that energy going. It's not quite as heavy, but it has a really good pop punk kind of vibe to it, but it still has some really hard-hitting moments, specifically in the chorus, which to me has really good vocal layering. The vocals are what really make this song hit hard a lot more than like a riff or something, and the imagery of an overdose is used really well in the verses. Besides verse 1, though, I feel like it's pretty repetitive, which is kind of the problem with singles. They just want to get an earworm, so they just repeat the same things quite a bit. It's good, not quite as good as Gasoline. Didn't get me quite as pumped up. But then we get into the deep cuts with See Through, which continues this theme of not being able to get somebody out of your head by either like being triggered by, or you're triggering certain events, as in like you end up going to the grocery store and you knock something off of the counter, and your girlfriend did that once upon a time and you just can't get her out of my head. And my issue with this is it's just so on the nose. He's literally naming things that make him think of this person. There's no like hidden message here, and because of that, it just it doesn't feel very well thought out. It doesn't feel super deep. It's just missing something, I think. It feels a little bit more like filler because of this, and also the music feels more phoned in. It's like they had this idea, they just didn't really quite know how to execute it lyrically or musically. And then we have a song which is kind of polarizing, which is Falling Away, featuring Jacoby Shaddix, which to me, I thought this song was pretty sick. It gave me POD vibes, and I'm absolutely here for it. The new metal throwback kind of feel in the verses meshes really well with the catchy chorus. It's very similar to other songs, but I just really enjoy the super aggressive riffs and just not really knowing what Jacoby's going to be doing, where he's going to pop up, things like that. The chaotic bridge also made the song stick out so much more. I feel like bringing in a different vocalist really helped the musicians like kind of think outside the box with what they can do with this different style of vocalist. And then we have the song 3 a.m., which caught me off guard. It continues the theme of constantly being reminded of this other person in a relationship that went sour, but this one is actually really well written musically and lyrically. The zippy, chunky guitar riff is fun, and the simple drum patterns mesh really, really well with the vocal pacing, and it just pulls me in every time. It's very simple, but they did a really good job on writing this one. Into the Dark has this really cool shutter effect thing in the verse that I didn't care for all that much, but definitely grew on me. The chorus will get stuck in your head. It has a very beautiful slow groove to it that I enjoyed. It just feels really repetitive though, leading up to the bridge. On its first listen, I enjoyed it, but then the more I listened to this album and I got to this song, it just quickly wore off its charm. And then we have the song My Religion, which breaks away from the other songs with a different style of drum beat. It's a little bit more lo-fi sounding, which I thought sounded fantastic with the very, very irritated sounding vocals. The vocals sound pissed off, which sounds really cool with this beat that kind of makes you want to just lean back, and it gives it kind of like this slam kind of feel to it. It also has like this callback to early 2010 pop punk in the chorus, and the bridge takes a really heavy turn that I thought would have been super, super cool and creative if they finished it off with that much aggression, but ended up dying out and they just go back to the chorus, which is, I mean, it's a good idea. It's very typical, but at the same time, it would have been cool if they finished this song off starting out with that slow beat and the aggressive vocals, and they finished the song off with just full-on aggression. But that's okay, because Halos goes back to being super pissed off. But this song, to me, actually has a pretty encouraging message that I liked a lot. The chorus makes you want to sing along, especially halfway through when the tempo changes. You just get into the super deep groove and it just mesmerizes you. The guitar solo is also pretty wild. I enjoyed that quite a bit, which is rare for me to say as a guitar player. I don't really care that much for guitar solos. I really enjoyed the message of this song, which I believe is to reach out to someone when you need support. I'm assuming emotional support, mental support, just support in general, which is a cool message that has become a lot more popular, but the way they did it in this song works really well. Then we have Good For Me Feels So Bad, which this song actually grew on me a lot. I didn't like it that much. It has like an emo vibe to my ears, and I think that's why I didn't care for it, because it just felt so, again, early 2000s, but not in a charming way, at least to me. The main melody in the verse sounds really cool, and the build-up going into the chorus, once again, has that emo kind of feel to it. I didn't really care that much for this one because it feels so dated, but again, the message he's portraying is actually really cool. Between, it sounds like drug use, and at the same time, being in this relationship, which this person, it didn't go that well. But this person keeps popping up into his mind, just being triggered by different events. So he clearly can't get them out of his head, and he wants them, even though he knows it's definitely not good for him. And my least favorite song on this album is Better Than High. It is the mandatory acoustic ballad song for pretty much any pop punk band to do. I didn't like this whatsoever, didn't care for it, listened to it about 3 times, and then just skipped it every time because I did not need to hear any more of these silly, overused cliche phrases of how you're better than drugs. I've heard it way too many times, especially early 2000s emo stuff is very similar to this, and I'm sure it's just overdone. And then we have the closing track, I Don't Want to Feel Like This Anymore, which kind of ties everything in really nicely. It's a solid closing track. I feel like it follows the same formula as all the other songs and the same kind of theme, but I really like the riff in the chorus. I feel like it sticks out a little bit more than their other songwriting and just overall music throughout the rest of the songs. It feels like the climax of this album as well, and it sums up all the emotions of missing this person and constantly being reminded of them. And you definitely feel like, yeah, dude, like you are obsessed, and he can't stop it, and he just really wants to stop feeling this way. And this album kind of feels like his release of that. And the first time you listen to it, before you get to the song, you're like, dude, every song is the same thing. He's doing the same thing. But then you get to this final track, And you definitely get the feeling that he does not want to feel like this anymore. He basically goes over all these songs, and you're like, this is just the same thing over and over again. And you get to the end, it's like, oh, he's just he's basically stating all the things that he is struggling with that he does not want to deal with anymore. And I feel like without this closing track, this album falls flat, but this thing really, really ties it all together. Surprisingly, I actually like this album more than Tear Me to Pieces. It's good to see that this band is still getting better and better. Sure, the themes are a little repetitive, especially if you just listen to like a few songs here and there instead of taking in the full album. But I feel like it's kind of broken up pretty nicely by the different musical sections. The closing track shows the frustration of this as well. There's a lot of personal awareness about what this album is doing found in the final track, which I really enjoyed a lot. Like I said before, listening to this album the first time before I got to the final track, I was just kind of over it. And then I get to it and I'm like, you know what, dude? Yeah, I agree. I don't want to feel like this anymore. And it sends the message home in a very, very direct way. And I dig the direction that this band is going in. Again, showing really good maturity in this album, just like Tear Me to Pieces. But now I feel like they're moving even further into that, pushing all this stuff out and being like a therapy session where you just sit down, dump everything. You're like, this is what I don't want to feel like this anymore. This is all of it. And I really enjoyed that. I got to give A.R.S.O.N by Story of the Year a 7 out of 10. I want to know what you guys think. I have a feeling most fans are probably going to enjoy this album quite a bit, but leave a comment below letting me know what you thought of A.R.S.O.N, what you would rate it, and what your favorite song is. Also, don't forget to give this video a like. It helps out so much with YouTube's algorithm. And also, don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell icon. Got a lot more music reviews coming up. Been taking it kind of slow, but we're getting back into it, you know. So don't forget to subscribe. That way you don't miss out on any of that stuff. And ring the bell icon. That way YouTube notifies you. You don't miss out on any of my future content, especially New Music Fridays, which I still do every week. And I just want to thank you guys so much for taking time out of your day to listen to me sit here and talk about music. I hope you have a good rest of your day or night, whenever you happen to be watching this. And I will talk to you guys next time.